Fex said as he shrugged his shoulders. To me, blood is just blood. It all tastes the same no matter who it comes from. Hearing Fex say this started to make Quinn think. System, what is the meaning of this? Quinn asked. I think you figured it out already, the system replied. As I've said to you before, your vampire powers are unique, different from the others. What applies to you doesn't mean it will apply to them, and the same can be said the other way around. But this, Quinn, this is your advantage over the others. Finally, when the female student's leg was fully healed, Peter no longer felt weird about eating the leg in front of him. The first bite was the hardest, but once he got the juicy taste of flesh into his mouth, he couldn't stop. He continued until almost nothing was left but the bone. Quest update: 3 of 7 pieces of human flesh have been consumed by ghoul Peter Chuck. Once again, the energy surged through Quinn's body, but he knew it wasn't him getting stronger, but Peter instead. Maybe we should just take the easy way? Quinn thought for a brief moment, but quickly changed his mind. They took off the blindfold from the girl, and then Fex started to use his influence skill. His red eyes glowed, and so did the females he was looking at. She appeared dazed, as if she was unaware of anything around her, as if she was asleep, but with her eyes open. Fex gave simple instructions of what happened that night. He was sure not to overcomplicate things. The last thing he mentioned was telling her to sleep for another hour. While one of them watched the hallways for any oncoming students, the other would carry them and put them in a place where it would be a while before a student spotted them. Certain sections of the library, just outside the staircase on the top floors, and so on. After they finished doing everything they needed to do, they left Fex in his room on his own. The day had arrived, and Peter wasn't feeling hungry this morning, as he had eaten a meal last night, but that still didn't mean there wasn't a list of jobs they needed to do, because Duke was hot on their heels. They needed to convince him that somehow Peter was learning the ability books handed to him. So the 3 decided to once again split up for the morning. Vorden had memorized the students who had the regenerative ability, while Peter and Quinn had decided to pay a little visit upstairs to the VIP area. Long time no see, Logan greeted. It looks like you brought a friend with you as well this time. Once he sat down, Quinn started to explain what he wished Logan to do. However, this time, Quinn was afraid Logan would decline. But without saying anything, he put on his metallic glove and got to work on the watch while it was still in Peter's hand. After a few minutes, he sat back in his chair. All done for you, he said. Now onto the watch, the number 2 was permanently displayed. If we want to come back and increase the number, are you okay with that, Logan? I thought you might ask something like that, so I already did it for you, Logan said. If you twist the top of the watch, then the numbers will change, going from 1 up to 6. So you will be able to fool anyone into thinking you have a high ability.
Want to watch more episodes of my vampire system? Follow Pocket FM Fantasy Chronicles. You can watch the next episode here in the playlist.